afternoon. I'm Sanket. I'm from DataWeave. I lead the product efforts at DataWeave. So I'm here to do a small demo of some of the products that we have been building for in the retail space, right? Before that, let me just set the context, in a couple of minutes. So we at DataWeave essentially build competitive intelligence, suite of products, for retail. So if you are a retailer or a brand, we give you essentially, we harness public data available on the web and bring insights to your business. These are essentially insights in terms of your pricing, in terms of promotions, in terms of assortments, right? So we have two broad set of offerings. One is called retail intelligence, that is targeted towards online, the retailers, the e-commerce players, and the other is brand analytics, that is targeted for brands. So I'll briefly go over what are these offerings, and then I'll launch into the demo. So for retail, essentially they are pricing intelligence, assortment intelligence, and promotional insights. Pricing intelligence is all about helping a retailer make good pricing decisions, right? There could be, so essentially it's an apples to apples comparison across different, a wide variety of products, and then, letting are you overpriced, are you underpriced, what should be your pricing strategy, and then giving recommendations. Assortment intelligence is all about covering and analyzing the depth and width of your product offerings. Do you have a good product mix, right? How do you compare against your competitors? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are there products that your competitors are selling and they seem to have a lot of momentum, but then you don't even have those, right? So that's, and it all ties back into your assortment strategy. Promotional insights is about helping retailers run better promotions, get information from the competitors, and try and help you give detailed insights in terms of how the promotional campaigns are happening, what is working out, what is not working out, right? So yeah, so these are some numbers in terms of the value to our clients. Like I was mentioning earlier, so the whole objective is to increase the top line, and also your bottom line margins and so on. Right. So that's on the retail intelligence part. On the brand analytics part, so brands have a different set of challenges. So if you are a brand who is selling your products online, you sort of don't have that much control anymore as you had offline, right? Because they are being sold by someone else on the online marketplaces. There could be pricing violations, right? So that's one major issue. There could be counterfeit. When it comes to digital catalog, somebody can easily copy it or fake it and so on, right? So that's the whole brand governance aspect of it. So we have brands covered there. Similarly, when you are running campaigns, if you are a brand and you're running campaigns online, you're spending marketing money. How does that correlate with your sales, right? So that's another part of it. So what's your, essentially, you're spending money on advertising real estate there. So what's your share there when compared to your other brands who are your competitors? Discoverability is another aspect. If someone comes and types in instant noodles, let's say on a grocery e-commerce store, does your brand come up in the top, or is it your competitor's brand that comes up there, right? What happens when these different patterns of keywords are typed in? Are your products discoverable, right? So that's another kind of analysis. And then there is a whole consumer feedback aspect of it, right? How is your brand perceived, right? What are the main talking points that when customers write reviews or when they talk about your brand or your products on social media? What are those product features that they talk in positive light about? What are those things where they have a negative comment? So you can go in depth there with our solution and get all of this analysis. Finally, there are certain products that are really moving fast. There are products that are probably not working out. So how do we sort of get those, get that analysis basically? So how can you optimize the shelf velocity, right? If you can, understand that these are the products and these are the features that of the product that are actually driving a lot more sales, right? So you could probably focus more there. And then rework your entire strategy for the products where it's not really moving that well, right? And then that again goes back into your, that can tie back into your product strategy, right? So especially this works especially well when you have categories like fast fashion where the products keep changing all the time and so on. So yeah, so that's basically what I had and to say in terms of setting the context. So let me get into a couple of demos. Okay, so this is let me log into one of the accounts. So this is how DataWeave basically looks at. So if you are a customer, you get a login, you get an account, and this is just a demo account that I'm showing here. So every day you come in here, and the whole idea is to help you take those decisions on a day-to-day basis, right? So this is a pricing intelligence account that I'm showing here. So once you log in, what you see here is an overview of what has been happening, right? So recent activity. So these are all your competitors, right? So there are, this is from the perspective of Snapdeal. So these are all your other competitors. These are their products. So many, they have increased prices for so many of these products. They have decreased prices in some places. There are some products that have stocked out, and you can obviously click on each one of these and then look at those exact products, right? Then there's also an overview of what are those products where you were a price leader so far, but recently you lost that price leadership, right? Because again, you'll have to focus on optimizing the prices there basically to again, if you want to regain that leadership position. Price gap buckets is another useful insight in which basically, what this indicates is that if you are somewhere here in the middle, you are doing well, right? And then if on the extremes, you are either leaving money on the table because you are either priced too high or too low, right? So that's another aspect, right? So yeah, so let me yeah, I just switched to another account, to just talk about some more things. So so we are also looking at products where you are exclusive. See, it's not just about always being the lowest priced store. There could be products that are exclusive to you, right? Where these are the products only you are selling. Then those are pricing opportunities where you can bump up the prices, right? So that's what this gives you, right? And these are the products where there's a lot of activity happening, and then you should actually focus on that, right? And there is this whole aspect of what's my health, right? So I mean, if I'm looking at different categories, so in each of these categories, how competitive am I, right? So that's basically what this gives you. So in some of these, if you look at it, in each of these categories, in cleaning supplies, there are mostly, I mean, almost all products I am the lowest. But there are appliances where I'm lowest in some of these, but then there are also these products where there are others who are lower, priced lower than me, right? So what do I do about it? So essentially, this tool will give you all of these insights and helps you, take actions based on that, right? Now that was a very high level overview. Now you can dig deeper and start looking at individual products, right? So that this is where the entire apples to apples comparison aspect that I was talking about. For instance, here this account is created for a customer called Lowe's. So and they want us to compare them against, let's say, Amazon and a few others, right? So now you can see here that the same product has been priced on Amazon at $18 and Lowe's is selling at about $4, right. So that's basically there's a huge price gap. That is to say that, you know, you can still, you know, increase the, see, that's a recommendation we are giving. You can still increase the price up to a certain, you know, price point and still remain the lowest, right. So you're basically leaving money on the table. So you're selling it for the lowest, but then you're already lowest, but then you're just too low, right. So similarly, there are, you know, revenue opportunities where the recommendation is on the other end. Basically, it's like your price too high. You know, you have to reduce the prices basically for these products, right. So there are a variety of such, you know, insights that we give here. You know, there are like products where only you have, you know, that are exclusive to your catalog. There are, you know, products where you were the price leader so far and you know, recently lost that, right. A bunch of those, and then you can apply a variety of filters here. Like you can see that, you know, in some cases it could be that there are different products being sold in different zip codes. You know, there are, you know, brand and category, or you could compare against specific, you know, competitors, right, or you could, right, or you could look at, you know, you could, you know, select certain competitors and look at products where they are out of stock or where, you know, they have recently, you know, priced lowest and all of this. And the great thing is all of these combinations, once you filter it down and get to the products that you want to focus on, you can just save it as, you know, as a view, and then that view, like all of these other views, it will keep getting updated, and then, you know, you could just keep track of those things, right. You could also, you know, there's also an option of favoriting some of these products, so that these are my favorite products. This is where I really want to focus on, and then, you know, this keeps getting updated all the time. So all of this information gets updated on a regular basis, right. So it's like every day you can come back and keep looking at this and you know, take decisions. So yeah, that's one aspect of it. Then the other interesting feature is that you can create alerts on some of these things, right. So let's say you want to know if there is a lot of price drops are going on for certain, you know, for a certain brand, right, or you know, for a, let's say if I want to look at this brand, and you know, I want to say whenever there are a lot of price decreases on Amazon, you know, I want to understand what is going on. So let's say whenever there is more than a 10% price decrease for this particular brand's products on Amazon, I want to get alerted, right. Similarly, if there is, if certain products or certain, you know, products in a category or a certain specific product gets stocked out, I want to immediately come to know about those, right. So that's another very powerful feature that we have there, right. And there are a bunch of insights that we you know, give for, you know, for each of these based on the understanding that we get about the domain. I'm not going to get into the details of all of this, but essentially these present different aspects of you know, the domain understanding. For instance, here you are looking at what is the, so across my different competitors, what sort of discounts are going on for different brands. So it could be the case that there are certain brands are giving you know, allowing a lot more you know, discounts on certain. So maybe Amazon has a you know, deal with Puma, and then they're allowing them to give a lot of discounts, whereas they're not allowing you to give a lot of discounts, right. So that's, and then so your sales are getting affected. So is that happening? So similarly, there are, you know, variety of those you know, these insights that we can give you, right. Right, and then finally, all of this information is available as reports. You know, if you look at the interface, wherever you go, you can just download, you know, the stuff there, you know, including even at the chart, all of these charts where the pricing history is available. You know, each you know, widget here, you can download the data there, and then all of this is available under the report section, where we could also add a lot of customized reports, because each org consumes data in their own, you know, way, and then we could as well have these custom reports. And of course, all of this information is also available as APIs. So if you want to integrate it directly into your pricing systems, or your assortment systems, it's just available, right? So that's largely about the pricing part of it. Then let me briefly talk about the assortment. So assortment is where you basically are looking at, let's say you have all of these different types of products, and I want to understand in each of these products, where am I strong and where am I weak? So are there certain types of products that I'm completely missing out, or I don't have enough products there? Because when your customer, for the consumer, the more choice, the more selection you provide, they keep coming back to you, right? Or it's also easier to acquire new customers when you show that breadth and that depth, right? So here you can basically apply filters at any level, and you can analyze this across multiple dimensions. Basically, if you look at it, so I've selected one particular product type, and these are all the different features of that product type, different attributes of that product type, and then I can go select multiple combinations of this and go in depth, right? To give a more, this is some outdoor appliances category. To give a simpler example, if I want to understand something like how many blue colored short sleeved round necked cotton t-shirts do I have versus Amazon versus Walmart versus somebody else, right? Because let's say that's trending now, right? And I want to have a lot of those, right? So that's you can go ahead and do that, and you can do this even at a product level. Basically, you could basically understand these are all the products that I don't have, but my competitors have, and then some of them are in fact best sellers, and I'm completely missing out on those. So what do I do about it? So I need to somehow get those products, right? Onboard those products. On the other hand, these are products that are exclusive to me. My competitors don't have it, so maybe I should start promoting them, right? So all of this information is available as part of assortment, right? So that's broadly about the retail intelligence part of it. So let me now get on to the brand analytics part of it. Let me log into a different account. So like I was mentioning earlier, so brands have this problem of so on brands when they start selling products online, there is a little bit of a loss of control, right? Because you don't have complete control about how your brand's product and how your brand products are being represented there. Is the quality of the catalog information good enough, right? Are there unauthorized sellers that are selling my products, right? Are there pricing violations that are happening? Are there are people copying my images or my catalog information, and are there counterfeit products? All of these are challenges that brands face, especially online. In the offline world, they generally have a lot more control, and then often this leads to some sort of a conflict situation between the e-commerce stores and the brands, right? Because brands want certain they want to they want to ensure that the brand equity is not diluted, so they want to govern this. On the other side, the e-commerce websites want to get more and more. They want to onboard more and more merchants on their website. They want to keep selling more and more. They want to give more discounts to acquire customers and so on. So this leads to a little of conflict there. So this product is for brands. So here what we do is, and what I'm going to show you is basically about how we track this MAP violations. MAP is minimum. Yeah.
You said that in your product demonstration you just shown that there is a stock option, like whether your competitor when they will run out of stock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is done by using some time series analysis, like after some time they will run out of stock, or is it based on the actual quantity of goods they actually have right now?
Okay. So like one of the things that I was mentioning earlier was that all of this is done based on public data available on the web. So what that means is that I have I don't have anything about the sales or the inventory, so I have no internal data. So when I say in stock or out, I mean it's basically about what is represented on the website. So that's basically, these are just factual information. Of course, we store a lot of historical information about all of this. Yeah.
So do you said that for the example of the blue cotton T-shirt, which is a high-selling product, probably on Snapdeal or
Right.
So what frequency do you crawl or analyze the other portals to see that?
So
How do you derive? How is the data fed into this?
Good question. So that's entirely customizable. Basically, it's by default it's like once a day. It's like a daily refresh, 24 hours. But depending on how often you want to do, it could be, we could set it up at like 4-hour intervals, or sometimes you want to do it on a weekly basis. I want to have a sort of week on week and so on. Yeah.
If I put say 5 portals, just the data extraction or data feeding into the system would also be a very
yeah, I mean, see, yeah. I mean, these are all, these are the challenges we are solving essentially, right? But then the point is, Amazon might have 5 billion or whatever number of websites, but you are not really interested in the entire thing, right? So you would probably be, so if when it comes to pricing, you may be interested in a certain, category or a few categories, or you may be interested in, let's say, 100,000 products across 5 categories or whatever, right? So. Yes.
Central place for all your customers, or this has to be each instance of, so if 5 e-commerce vendors are your customers, each of their instances actually are crawling separately.
We do the crawling. So basically, it's like we crawl thousands of websites on a daily basis, right? And then there are a variety of, and on the scale part, I mean, we can discuss more details offline, but then there are a variety of techniques we use to sort of scale it up so that we don't get overwhelmed by those numbers. So crawling. So this whole process starts from crawling. So we keep crawling, all of these websites, and then when it comes to what we serve through the product, so there are these specific accounts created for each customer. So in order to onboard them, there are certain inputs that we need from the customer. For instance, in pricing intelligence, we need something like, okay, these are the 10,000 products that I need you to track, and these are the 5 or 10 competitors that I want to track, right? Or these are my categories, and these are my very important categories, and then I need to understand pricing here, right? When it comes to assortment, like different kinds of, again, sometimes customers want to understand them at a strength and weakness level in terms of attributes, right? I mean, like at a product type level, what are my, where am I strong, where am I weak, or it could be at a combination of all these features level, or they may want to look at it gaps at a SKU level, at an individual product level, that I'm missing these products, or these are exclusive and so on. So they are basically, the customers will basically tell us that these are my categories where I really want to understand, or I want to understand for my whole website as well, right? So
they do not have any standard scheme. Like blue shirt this and blue shirt that is really two different things. So how do you really validate the
that's, yeah. So there is this entire crawling, which so there are like 3 broad stages to what we do. There is this entire crawling, which is like a distributed, scalable, crawling layer, which gives us the scale and the generality. So where we can sort of crawl any kind of website and then extract these relevant data points from there. Then there is this one. Then we have this entire semantics or the data science layer that does all this enrichment. There we use signals from text as well as images. So blue, in apparel, people can get very creative, right? You may call something blue, somebody else might call it azure or whatever else, and so on. How do you really know what they are? So then images come to the rescue there, right? In some cases, and so there is this entire domain knowledge base that we have built. It's essentially a knowledge graph that we have built internally, for the retail domain, where for every product type there are this attributes, these are the values and so on and so forth, and there are a variety of machine learning techniques that we use to So for instance, to give another example, somebody might call it CPU, somebody might call it processor. So how do I know that these are the same things? If I don't do that normalization, my assortment numbers won't be correct, right? So all of this happens in the back end before what I'm showing comes at the end, basically, right? So all of this happens, and this is an ongoing process. As and when we come across new websites, we keep doing this data extraction and this whole normalization. And a lot of this is automated, but another unique way we do it is it's a human in the loop approach, in which ultimately this is a B2B product, and then the SLAs have to be very, very strong, right? So we provide the data accuracy is more than 95% in our case. So it has to be, so there's an internal team who also check the data quality. So wherever the algorithms have missed out something, they correct it, which comes back as a feedback loop, and that's how this keeps going on. Yeah.
So you also derive insights with regard to the high-selling or high-sale products in particular categories and all those things?
Yeah. So that was the self-velocity part of it. So again, like I said, we don't have the actual sales numbers. But we use a lot of these surrogate, information like so stock information, how frequently does it get replenished, the pricing history, the discount history, and so on and so forth. So for instance, if there's and the position of the product on these websites. So all of these bunch of things. And then, so to give an example, if there is this product which is generally featured in your first page, and then it keeps getting replenished, and there is not much discount being given to that product, it's likely that this is actually selling fast, right? And these we sort of have corroborated our model with a few customers where they have shared some of their sales data, and then whatever we had predicted had more than an 80% accuracy there in terms of this. So it works pretty well. Yeah.
As you have your crawlers running day and night with the e-commerce sites, e-commerce sites are really not happy towards crawling them day and night. So they have different strategy to prevent you, right? So what's your comment around that?
We are polite. So we are very polite with respect to so again, yeah, I mean the details we can discuss offline, but then in general, crawling is as much a technical problem as it is a policy related. There's a lot of so we need to sort of we crawl across time zones since it's spread. We crawl in different geographies. We try to do it at a time where their loads are very less, and so on and so forth, and then we give we follow the entire robots or TXT, the terms and conditions and instructions there, and in order to scale, there are a variety of techniques that we employ, and we have our distributed crawling infrastructure that can on demand scale up or down depending on that. So that's it is a huge challenge, but we have been doing that.
You said you are using public data, right?
Correct.
Do you think additional data, kind of some like area-wise or age group-wise data, will help you in more analysis?
In what sense is that? And of course, we can see that the way we are looking at it is, so we do all of this from public data. One is because this gives us huge scale, because there are other players in this space who go ahead and do a far deeper integration into the internal systems. But then if you look at, their strategy is completely different. If you look at it, it becomes very difficult to scale because the deeper you are integrated, the more customized your solution becomes, and then to scale it to 50s or hundreds of customers is very difficult. And then there are also the questions of reusability of all this data and insights that we have produced. But the specific question about whether demographics data helps or not, it can, but the way we are looking at it is that we are providing these integration points in terms of APIs, and in our roadmap we also have integrations for other systems like Tableau and so on, where they can get their data into a system where we sort of help, where the system automatically can do this analysis and so on. So as part of the roadmap, we are also thinking in terms of things like scenario planning or scenario analysis, where what happens if I drop the prices for this brand by 5%, or what happens if this is in this zip code if I do this, right? Those are interesting things to look at, but to what extent should we deal with internal data is still a question, because the scale is something that's very different.
Some data points that you require that may not be available with competition. In that case, how you will dealing with data?
So there are, again, it depends on the specific product that I have. If it's pricing intelligence, essentially we need data points like price, stock status, the position of the product, and so on and so forth. There could also be, but when it comes to other things like product features or attributes, of course they will be missing, or they will be represented very differently on different websites, and that's where this whole thing of the normalization and that everything comes in, right? So the great thing about this is the other capability that we have built as part of this, because we keep collecting data from thousands of websites. For any product, our catalogs probably have the best quality, because we can fill in the gaps wherever something is missing. We have that, and that itself can become an offering, right? If somebody wants to just get catalog data, because it's very hard. If you look at most of the marketplaces, a lot of merchants that get onboarded, but then they don't really have good quality catalog information about products, right? So that's another thing. So, yeah. I don't know how much did I overshoot my time. Yeah. So basically, the other thing I wanted to talk about was this brand analytics piece. So we are solving two primary problems here. One is the MAP violations, the pricing violations, and the other is the counterfeit products. So the MAP violations, unauthorized sellers, and counterfeit products, three things. Basically, as you can see here, we are for each of these products we are sort of tracking the number of violations and who has done that, and also the entire history basically, right? So one aspect of this is that you can consume this as a report. Basically, you will understand as to who is doing this. Are these authorized sellers doing this pricing violation, unauthorized sellers, and all of that. The other interesting feature that we have introduced recently is that not only do we give you all of this, but we manage the process of, if you want to send notices to these people, for instance, these merchants or to these marketplaces that are allowing this, we manage that entire process. All you have to do is log in here and say that, okay, I want to notify these people, or I want to, or set a bunch of rules. They're saying if somebody has violated more than 10%, right, and then automatically send notices to them. Right, so that entire process in the back end is managed. So I don't have enough time to go over the complete thing, but then just a couple of numbers that I want to share is recently we did this counterfeit product thing for a customer, for a brand in US. Just on Amazon marketplace, we found more than 35% of their products, we found counterfeit for more than 35% of their products basically. And on Walmart, we found, like close to 45%. So that's how rampant this problem is. And that's why this is like a lot of customers are really interested in this. Thanks a lot, guys. Any other questions? Or I don't know if I have time, so yeah, thanks.